Here we have very good evening to all of you, and we are starting with the today's session. It's not of a webinar today, but it's a rather more interesting session which has been taken by our speaker today. That's with regard to the interpretation of the court orders. Yeah, interpretation of the court orders with regard to the lockdown. So today we have Ms. Kanika Singh on board. She's an advocate, experienced litigator of 10 years of continuous practice in the field of construction laws, arbitration, and in the insolvency and bankruptcy court. And she is also ASC for various government panels. And presently, Kanika is a well-known, advocate in Delhi High Court. She being the member executive of the elected body of the Delhi High Court Bar Association. We welcome you, Kanika, on the board once again, I'll say. And let's start with today's very interesting session. That's too with regard to the interpretation of these court orders and to the limitations. Over to you, Kanika.
Thank you, Nitesh, for that very, very kind introduction, and thank you for having these sessions. As Nitesh said, the idea today is not to have a webinar. It's because we've been getting a lot of queries with regards to limitation, and there is some confusion with regards to how limitation has been set at large in view of the lockdown and the suspension of work. So we're hoping to address some of that today. Briefly, I will cover the court orders that we right now have on the subject. And after that, in case you guys have any queries on the subject, we can look to address the same. Amrita, can we have the first PPT slide? Yes, the next one. Yeah. So we start the first order really on this topic. In fact, I'll stop here. On the same date as the Supreme Court order on 23rd March, there's a High Court notification also of 23rd March, where suspension of work has been covered in the definition of closure in under Section 4 of the Limitation Act. But we can look to let that be. We can start straight away with the Supreme Court order of 23rd March. Now, here on the screen, Amrita has reproduced for you the language of this order. We can come to the next page. There are 4 to 5 things which are important in this order. Firstly, it uses the word petitions, applications, suits, appeals, and all other proceedings. So it is of the most vast scope. It covers both fresh filings as well as pending matters because it uses the word applications in conjunction with other proceedings. So all filings that you were to do get covered by this order. Next, it uses the word limitation under general or special law. So here it's important, it may not only be a limitation under the Limitation Act, any special law also gets covered, whether it's your Arbitration Act, whether it's your Commercial Courts Act, which provided certain periods of limitation, say for filing written statement. Next, it uses the word whether condonable or not. Now this is important because this covers provisions like Section 34 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, where the limitation is a strict limitation and there is no condonation available beyond say 3 months and 30 days. This, by using the words whether condonable or not, even covers limitation periods which were otherwise not condonable. Next, it uses the word all courts, tribunals, and authorities. So this is important because one of the confusions was whether it will apply to tribunals, say like APTEL, NCLAT, NCLTs. In view of this order, it applies to every tribunal, all authority, and all courts. Next, and the final part of the order that is of some relevance is that it says shall stand extended with effect from 15th March, and the next words are very important, till further orders passed by this court in present proceedings. So as it stands today, this order continues to operate till the time it's not modified, varied, recalled, or in any manner otherwise varied by the Supreme Court. As of today, the limitation period continues to be at large in view of this order for all filings across all tribunals and courts, whether the delay was condonable or not under the respective sections. Amrita, can we have the next slide? So this order took, the Supreme Court order that we just referred, took care of all filings before courts. However, there are certain time periods that are provided under various acts which are not really filings before the court, but which have a limitation period. So in this regard, the NCLAT, that is your National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, came up with an order on 30th March 2020, where they sought to protect such a limitation period. Under the IBC, there's a particular period during which the resolution process has to take place. The question was whether this period would also be covered or not. So NCLAT, exercising powers under section 11 of the code, thereafter, by this order has, and this has been reproduced on the slide that you have before you, has said that the period of the lockdown ordered by the central government and state government, including the period as extended either in part, in whole or part of the country where the registered office of the corporate debtor may be located, shall be excluded for the purposes of counting of the period for resolution process under section 12 in all cases where corporate insolvency resolution process has been initiated and pending. It is further ordered that any interim order stay passed by the appellate tribunal shall continue. So this is important. It meant that till the time, and this is important, the precondition of this order, unlike the Supreme Court order, which doesn't have any such precondition, is that there should be a lockdown. The lockdown should be where the registered office of the corporate debtor may be located. And that period will be excluded for the purposes of calculating the period under section 12 of the IBC. Amrita, can we have the next slide? Amrita, maybe have the next slide. Yeah, perfect. This one, yeah. So while the NCLAT order sought to take care of certain limitations for proceedings which were not before court, one very important proceeding, in fact, two very important proceedings which got left out were section 29A of the Arbitration Act, which is the limitation before an arbitrator, and 138, which provides a limitation for giving notices. The Supreme Court was made aware of this, and on 6th May, it passed this order that you have on the slide before you. Now, this order, in fact, is the source of some confusion because there are two parts to this order. And if one were to read it at the first glance, the two parts do not seem to be exactly complementary to each other. The first part, as is reproduced in the first quotation before you, says that it is hereby ordered that all periods of limitation prescribed under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act and under section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act shall be extended with effect from 15th March 2020 till further orders to be passed by this court in the present proceedings. Had the court stopped at this, we could say that the entire period has been settled large. However, and has been extended for the period the court doesn't pass pass further orders, just like the 23rd March order. However, there is a second part to this order which says that in case limitation has expired after 15th March, then the period from 15th March till the date on which the lockdown is lifted in the jurisdictional area where the dispute lies or where the cause of action arises shall be extended for a period of 15 days after the lifting of lockdown. This narrower approach, Amrita, can we just have that first? Yeah. This narrower approach, which is there in the second part of the order, in fact, has been accepted by the High Court. And this is the narrow approach that is now being accepted by the High Court, as we can have in the next order that we have. Amrita, the next slide. So this is a case filed in the High Court under section 29A. When this petition was filed, they obviously were seeking extension of timelines before the arbitrator. The High Court considered the Supreme Court order of 6th May and in para 4 passed the following observations. May just have this. In view of the order of the Supreme Court extracted above, where the time for passing of the award expired on 15th March 2020, the time for conclusion of proceedings and passing of award would automatically stand extended in all arbitration proceedings for 15 days after lifting of the lockdown. Thus, in all cases where the time limit for passing of the award expired during the period of lockdown, no separate petition under section 29A of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act would be required to be filed. All arbitral proceedings would be governed by the order passed by the Supreme Court on 6th May 2020. Parties would have a period of 2 weeks after the lockdown is lifted to approach the court if need arises. In the meantime, all arbitral proceedings can continue even through video conferencing. So now what the situation emerges is that what has been held by the High Court is the second part of the Supreme Court order, that in case you had an arbitration proceedings whose time limit under section 29A was expiring after 15th March, then till the time we had a lockdown in Delhi, you were protected. After the lockdown has come to an end, you get 15 days more to complete the proceedings. If you complete it in these 15 days, you don't need to approach the High Court for any extension. However, if you don't manage to complete it in these 15 days, then you can approach the High Court for the extension. Similar would be the interpretation in light of this for 138 notices. In case the period of limitation was expiring after 15th March, you get 2 weeks after the lifting of the lockdown to give the notices. For these 2 weeks, you don't need any condemnation. That is the respectful interpretation of the Supreme Court order of 6th May 2020 that has been interpreted by the High Court in its order of 11th May 2020. Amrita, the next slide. Okay, then the next part of the confusion, which a lot of you have been messaging, has arisen because of the fact that online filing has now been made available. With online filing now being made available, the question arose that does that mean that our limitation has now started again? The answer is no. In view of the 23rd March Supreme Court order, which is still continuing till date, limitation continues to be at large. And this has been clarified in a letter written by the Registrar General of the Delhi High Court, addressed to the district judges, where they've said that in case a party does not wish to avail the facility of e-filing, then period of limitation for actions shall be governed, and if applicable, shall be governed by the decision of the Honorable Supreme Court in so-and-so, wherein the period of limitation has been extended till further orders. So in case you, despite the fact that online filing is now available for the High Court and the district courts, in case you do not wish to avail of the said filing, the period of limitation continues to be extended and you need not worry that your limitation has started running again. Lastly, just to sum it up and finish, we have the last slide, which is on a related topic. Amrita, can we have the last slide? The last slide is with regards to interim orders, interim bails, paroles that were coming to an end. The High Court, taking cognizance of this, had already passed an order on 25th March, where it had extended all such interim orders, bails and paroles till 15th May. 15th May, it passed another order where it extended it till 15th June. And lastly, just yesterday, they've passed this order where they've extended all interim paroles, bails, and stays till 15th July 2020. So with that, there should be clarity on the fact that in case there are proceedings to be filed before the court, you're governed by the Supreme Court order of 23rd March and your limitation continues to be extended. However, in case you are governed by the Supreme Court order of 6th May, then you get 15 days from the date when the lockdown has ended. Nitish, over to you.
Yeah, so with that, I think it was a sweet and very clear understanding of all the orders have been explained to all the young lot of advocates who have been inquiring and messaging me with regard to the clarifications on the limitations. So Kanika, leading ahead to this, there are 2-3 questions which are also lined up with me. So I'll be taking one by one. So the first was, with regard to the limitation being extended on all the proceedings that you have already clarified, I don't think I need to ask it again. But while clarification is made by the Supreme Court in the cases of negotiable instruments and arbitration, what about the other matter? Because it has not clarified. So shall we understand that as per the process of limitation, when the court opens, so would that be deemed as the last day for filing the other cases, then the arbitration and the 138? Kanika, over to you for this.
Confusion here arises is that what the Supreme Court has clarified is not with regards to arbitration cases to be filed before the court or 138 cases to be filed before the court. All of those are covered by the 23rd March order. What Supreme Court has clarified is limitation before the arbitrator or the time provided for giving a notice under 138. For filing any petition before the High Court under Section 34 of the Arbitration Act or any other, whether it's 11(9), anywhere where there's any limitation, the Supreme Court order of 23rd March applies And the same applies to all proceedings under all acts. Any filing before the courts, tribunals, and authorities, whether it's under the Arbitration Act, whether it's under CPC, whether it's under Commercial Courts Act, under IBC, all of them continue to be covered and extended because so far the Supreme Court has not varied. With regards to your second part of the question as to whether the last day would be deemed to be the day, that is thankfully the way the order is worded, that is not the case. What I see happening is eventually when work resumes, the Supreme Court would probably come up with the order modifying this order to say that, say, 10 days from now is your further period of limitation for you to file all matters whose limitation was elapsing. You will get the benefit of limitation that you've already already spent in the lockdown and suspension, and maybe they will vary it to that extent. However, that last day bit is not the worry right now. It will continue till the time Supreme Court comes with an order, and usually I'm presuming they will give you some sort of a window to file the matters. But on the safe side, considering now we have online filing, everybody can avail that also. Yes.
Yeah, that's a big, chaos in everybody's mind that how it would be tackling the situation when it would open. So that should not become, another corona-centric day for all of those who would come for filing of the matters.
Absolutely, Nitesh. And that is why they've started online filing, because though they've not started scrutinizing, the idea for online filing is that at least people are getting the filings in right now so that the last minute rush is avoided on the first day of reopening.
Yeah, definitely. So the next question which is there is whether the order dated 23rd of March 2020 would also applies to the appeals, reviews, revisions, and what about the pending cases? So the all proceedings would be including all of these?
Yes, yes. So the short answer to that is yes, all proceedings before any court, tribunal, and authority, irrespective of whether it's pending or fresh. So say one of the major worries when this 23rd March order hadn't come was written statement under the Commercial Courts Act, because that's a very strict timeline of 120 days. And no matter what, beyond 120 days, there's no condemnation available. In view of this order, even that 120 days has been extended. Hope that answers it.
For this. So yeah, it do cover. And to obviate this in another manner, whether this extension of limitation would apply to refiling of cases also?
So in my respectful submission, it's a little tricky because refiling is covered under our Delhi High Court Act and the rules made therein. But it's also in the nature of a filing before a court and authority. So I think it should get covered. And at least the Supreme Court Registry has been directed not to insist on any applications for condemnations of delay in refiling, because their scrutiny has started and High Court scrutiny hasn't started. So we don't know what's the status of refiling in the High Court. But the Supreme Court Registry was initially asking for applications for condemnation of delay in refiling. However, it was pointed out that it will be covered by 23rd March order, and the Supreme Court Registry is now not asking for any such application seeking condemnation.
Thank you, Kanika. My questionnaire ends here. So now I request my participants and viewers, since the window is open for them with the speaker, if they have questions, they can take it one by one. Open to you, all of you. Is there any question with any of the viewers? Or Kanika ma'am has clarified everything? Shall we resume it?
Hi, Kanika. I do have a question.
Yeah,
Hi,
sure.
Kishore. How are you?
I'm good. I'm guessing everyone else on the panel is doing well as well.
Yes. Please tell me.
The question is with respect to the second half of the 6th May order. The question is fairly simple. The period between 15th of March and the date when the limitation is set to expire in a given case is said to be excluded.
Right.
So will that mean that once the lockdown is lifted, in addition to those 15 days that the court is now given, the other period that was excluded, would that period also be included, or would it now be from the 1st of June till the 15th of June. I can clarify this by way of an example.
I got it.
Okay, you got it. All right.
So supposing your the period was ending on for under 29A was ending on 25th March 2020, and the lockdown is only ending say on 1st July 2020. So you get the period, the benefit that you get is not just 15 days added to 25th March 2020. The period that you get is 25th March up to 1st July plus 15 days from 1st July to then approach the court in case you don't manage to finish the arbitral proceedings in that time.
Well,
Yeah.
So this then gives rise to that very important question, which is this unlock 1.0, is that considered as lifting of?
That is a different question altogether, and I would probably say, considering the definition is given as unlock and private offices have been allowed to operate, to be on the safer side, everybody should be applying to courts in the 15 days post having unlock.
Which is today. I mean, which is starting today technically, isn't it?
Which is effectively starting from today. But again, thankfully, at least 29A, even if you're not covered by the 6th May order, even if you were not to be covered by this order and you are otherwise, say, in a containment area or in other manner effective, 29A is structured in a way that all reasonable grounds for condemnation and extension of period will be considered. So thankfully, it's not a very harsh provision like 34 would have been. And even if you were to, if there was if there was a problem in interpreting as to whether lockdown 1 or unlockdown 1, which constitutes as ending of the lockdown, I'm sure that would not really stand in the way of the courts granting time under 29A.
Because I do believe there was a clarification application that was moved in this matter, but strangely Mr. Dave withdrew it, and because I think there were some doubts about whether containment zones would be considered as being within the lockdown, because I think now in let's say Chennai, there's and the government of Tamil Nadu and 3 other districts has imposed a lockdown once again.
Yes,
so when it seems like unless there's a notification from the appropriate authority, the Home Ministry, when it came to the first 3-4 lockdowns, and now in the case of Tamil Nadu, the state government, in the absence of such notification, and and with this term unlock being used,
right,
I think one would assume that the clock has started ticking once again now.
Yes, to err on the safer side.
Safer side of caution, right.
All of us are already starting with some arbitrations now. It would make sense to approach to either conclude proceedings in the 15 days and make full advantage of wherever you could have, or approach the court. And that I don't think should be a problem. Granting extension by the court under 29A should be liberally construed in these times, I think. So
thank you so much.
Thanks, Kishore. Thank you.
Kanika, I see one question lined up.
Slightly tricky question lined up too.
So you have already seen.
Yeah, I read the question. It's an intimidating question. I'll not deny that. So Sagrikto, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is the question is that under like ATCPC timeline provided, statutory limit provided under ATCPC, would that remain the same? It's an interesting question because not only ADCPC, there's 55B of the DDA Act, there's 96 of the Delhi Jal Board Act. There are several such provisions which provide a particular time limit in which you have to give notices. Now, I was just reading today, there was an order where they struck down, this was an order of the Andhra Pradesh High Court, where they struck down the statutory show cause notice issued on the ground that in view of the lockdown, they shouldn't have issued it and the other side could not have given the notice in time. And so the action of the department was struck down. However, again, and to be on the safer side, it makes sense because this is technically not covered either by the Supreme Court order of 23rd March or the Supreme Court order of 6th May 2020. So it makes sense to be giving these notices as per the time limits provided because they are not covered by the 2 orders. While probably interpreting it, a court tomorrow may look at it favorably, but why give the court an opportunity to give a judgment against? Yes.
So I think that has clarified the questions. If any other question is left, I once again request the viewers to take it up, else we'll be ending with this session and we'll float across the video to understand and have the more clarification. Exactly, so not covered, thus clarifying. Thanks a lot, ma'am. So I think the
I
question has
think
been clarified by
thank you.
Kanika.
Thank you, everybody.
So thank you once again to Kanika for throwing light on these orders, which were though very small, but they were of the nature to be interpreted properly so that all of us can understand and should not remain in any confusion. So at the end, I think we shall conclude it by saying that their time limit is there with all of us, and certainly the Supreme Court would look at the window that has to be extended for all matters. Yes, Shobhit, you want to take some question? Shobhit.
Hello.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
Shobhit, you want to make up a question?
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening. Sorry. Good evening,
That's
ma'am.
okay.
Thank you for the informative webinar, ma'am. I just want to know two things, ma'am. In respect, if somebody has sent a legal notice in respect of 138 case in the month of March,
Right.
and ma'am, what is the remedy left? Is we have to wait for till the lockdown is over to file a case in respect of 138 matter?
Yes. So in the 138 matters, technically they don't qualify as urgent. Right now, only urgent filing is happening.
Okay, ma'am.
And the limitation to file it before the court continues to be protected by the Supreme Court order of 23rd March, according to me. So once regular filing starts, you can start it, but you can file it in online filing right now. As a non-urgent matter, online filing has started. And they've been instructed to even start with criminal filing. So it can be filed now.
And ma'am, the other question in respect of the ma'am civil matter, ma'am, if I'm from the plaintiff side, supposedly, and the limitation is going to end on in the month of May, but during the month of May there was a lockdown period from the March onward. Ma'am, now from the webinar, what we have learned that civil cases filing has also been started. As per, correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am, the civil cases filing has also been started. So we can file the case right now, or we have to write an application along with the suit that it is from the period of May until the June filing. We have to take the limitation.
Right now you can file it. While we're drafting suits, we have that para of limitation that we usually give for cause of action and everything. If
yes, ma'am.
There in the cause of action, you can put a line mentioning what happened about the lockdown, and it will get covered by the Supreme Court order of 23rd March. You can file it now, you can file it later till the Supreme Court varies that order. Right now, your limitation is protected. If it elapsed after 15th March, your limitation is protected.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Okay, then, Nitesh, I think we can.
Thank you, Shobhit. So,
thank you, sir.
Kanika, there is, I think, one more comes out of that. If we see for the commercial cases, right now, there is no pre-litigation process has been going on. So as in the normal circumstances, in most of the commercial cases, there is a requirement to go for those pre-litigation. So as on one hand, they have opened the window for filing of the commercial cases. On the other hand, this DLSA has not started with the pre-litigation process. So what do you think that's a little disturbing factor both ways, contradictory orders?
It is a little disturbing, not disturbing really. See, what has happened is that the mediation center has started with their online mediation. And DLSA, I don't think has started with their online mediation so far, but mediation center is open. I don't know whether they're considering any and because only DLSA can consider pre-mediation litigation. That's an issue.
That's the power with DLSA only.
Yeah. However, right now, if you wish to file, you can, as per my understanding, pre-mediation litigation would not stand in the way because it's not a remedy available to you right now. So you can directly file the matter. Later on at a stage, maybe you can, if you want to explore mediation, then probably later when pre-mediation litigation becomes an option, you can look at it. Also, the thing is right now you're filing the suit will not get it listed. So between now till the time eventually they'll start scrutiny, you will, if DLSA starts working again, maybe you can look to go there for pre-mediation litigation.
Right. It is both ways. My two suits are pending, so I asked this question directly.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kanika, for this. And
Thank you so much. Thanks everybody.
I think we end today's session, and we always glad to have Kanika on our board, explaining the things in a very clear and understanding manner to all of you. Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you, ma'am.
Kanika.
Thank you, sir.
Shobhit,
See you in
thank you.
future for some more matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.